Good morning, everyone. So last week, Stu showed us how to start a devotional with just so much dramatic effect of an entrance. So guys, this morning we are going to be looking at 1 Samuel chapter 25. And once again, this is action-packed. So I don't know how we're going to get through so much amazing stuff in a short devotional, but we're going to try. So, first coffee. Okay. So David and his men at some point looked after some shepherds and their sheep. And these shepherds and sheep belonged to a guy named Nabal. And Nabal was an incredibly wealthy guy. And David overheard that Nabal was sheep shearing. And back in that day, it was an incredibly festive time, sheep shearing. So it's where food and drink is flowing. I mean, there were 3,000 sheep to shear, so it obviously took a long time. Anyway, so he thought that he would send some of his men to approach Nabal and ask him for some food for his men, because he had done this favor to help Nabal's shepherds and sheep. And he was very humble in how he approached Nabal. So his men went down and just said, please give whatever you have at hand. So not demanding anything, just listen, whatever you've got, anything to spare, that would be amazing. Well, Nabal's response to David's men was, sorry, a David who? Son of Jesse what? Who's this guy? And you know, servants are breaking away from their masters these days, hey? And shall I take my bread and my water and my meat that I have killed for my shearers and give it to men who come from who knows where? So David's men go back to David and tell David Nabal's response. Well, David said, men, strap on your swords. 400 men, we're going to go and sort this guy out. How dare he? Boys. Anyway. So these 400 men, they strap on their swords. But in comes Abigail into the story. Okay, a level-headed woman who is a peacemaker. And this is where I want to hone in. Just some lessons that we can learn from her as a peacemaker. So, she sees the potential disaster that's about to go down. Like catastrophic chaos, okay? Like crazy bloodshed of these men. And clearly, David's ego has been bruised. Anyway, so the first thing that we can learn from Abigail is that she acts quickly. She doesn't spare a moment. She's like, okay, guys. Oh, because what happened is that how she found out was her servants came to her and said, listen, this has gone down. Nabal insulted David, and listen, David looked after us, hey, but Nabal was a chop. So that's when Abigail's like, okay, we need to act quick. So she grabs as much food as she can to put on her donkeys. And if you read the story, you will see how much food this woman gathered. It just shows how much excess Nabal actually had and how stingy his heart was. He had so much. Anyway, so she acts quickly and gets her donkeys, and they're going to go and intercept David before bloodshed. And what we can learn from her is the moment we feel something is to act fast. For example, I don't know if you've ever gone through your day. This is what I do. Like I go through my day and I'm like, oh my word, I shouldn't have said that. I know I was joking, but maybe she had landed wrong and she misunderstood what I was saying. And so there's been times where I've sent a text and just said, listen, I'm so sorry for what I said. And there's been times where they're like, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And then there's been times where they're like, thank you for apologizing. That stung. That was really sore. So to act quickly, that there's no time for anything to fester. Or like it's like a sore and there's no time for it to start oozing, Secondly, so that she intercepts David, she sees him first, and she falls face down before him with absolute humility. And what we can learn from her is that she doesn't start by justifying herself. Like, hey, David, just so you know the context of what we were, what he meant was, and listen, no. She falls down before him and says, and she's just completely humble. And she was a wealthy woman, hey? So She could have stood above him, but she chose to humble herself before him. And I think that's what we can learn, is that we don't arrive trying to bring peace, to be peacemakers, but we start off by justifying ourselves. The third thing we can learn from her is that she asks David for forgiveness, even though it wasn't her fault. She's like, listen, please forgive the trespass of your servant, which is actually, it was Nabal who said all that stuff. But she was like, listen, please forgive me. And John is such an amazing example of that. Often in our marriage, like, I am so in the wrong, okay, between us. But he will come and he will apologize, which just makes me love him even more. When he's like, listen, I'm sorry, babe. And for the sake of unity and peace between us, he's willing to take the fall for it. And for me, that is just incredibly beautiful, for peace to happen and exist, that we have to lay down our justifiedness, if that's a word. And the fourth thing that Abigail does is that she reminds David of his calling. She reminds him of the promises over his life. And she's saying to him, listen, if there is bloodshed here, you're going to walk away with guilt and blood on your hands. And is it worth it? There are going to be consequences here. And it's not worth it. You've got this call on your life. And if we let this go down, there will be consequences, and it's only going to hurt David and his reputation. Because actually, if you look at it, David's ego was bruised. There wasn't anything justified for him to go with his 400 men to go and just kill these guys, for revenge. And we do see later on in this chapter that Nabal does die. Spoiler alert, okay? So God has his revenge. And we've often said that God has his revenge. We don't have to go in there with our swords strapped and, I'm going to go and show that oak, Anyway, so those are the lessons that we can learn from Abigail as a peacemaker. But guys, I encourage you to go and read chapter 25 of 1 Samuel. It is really cool. I've loved reading 1 Samuel again and just seeing all these lessons and just stuff going down. It is amazing. So love you guys, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.